Okay, so now I'm going to go over the chipboard pieces that you will cut for the wagon, for the circus wagon. These measurements are on the written tutorial. You will need to cut 2 wagon sides. The sides of the wagon are 8" by 6". Now remember, this wagon is going to be made so that your mini album will slide into the back of the album. So 2 sides, 8" by 6". For the top of the wagon, we need an 8" by 4. For the bottom of the wagon, we need 2 8" by 4 because we're going to put these together and glue them together to make it a little bit more sturdy for the wheels. The front of the end of the wagon is a 4 1/8 by 6, and I have cut the gate piece 4 1/8 by 6. The gate was something I added later, so we may have to cut this just a little bit wider. We will wait and see on that, but for now, for this video, I have a 4 1/8 by 6. If it's different, I will put a correction banner word across the video, and then it will be correct on the written tutorial. Okay, so now we're ready to go start assembling. The wagon is basically a box made out of chipboard. And the first thing we need to do is take the 2 wagon bottoms, and I'm going to go ahead and use a bigger bottle of glue, if I can get it to come out, and go ahead and put glue on one piece, and we're going to sandwich these 2 together and let them dry. So you take both that are the same size, 8" by 4". Sandwich them together with the glue. And this is the bottom. Now you have to bear with me. I will have to think at different points whether we need to add the paper or just go ahead and assemble, because of the holes needing to be punched or drilled for the wheels and different hardware. So when I made my first one, I just made it to see if I could make it, and there were certain sections where I should have done this before that, and so I'm going to have to really think about it on this video while I'm working on this with you. So now we have the bottom here, and we're going to let that dry. And for the inside of the wagon, the entire thing is going to be black because there's not any really need to put pattern paper on the inside, and it's a little hard to paint once it's assembled. So I'm going to cut paper, black cardstock paper, the sizes of these pieces, and then when we actually put it into the wagon, we may have to trim them down some. So I'm going to stop the camera now while this is drying and cut those pieces and come back with those. Okay, I took 2 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock, and I cut these pieces to use to cover the inside of the wagon. So I went ahead and cut them just a little bit shorter than these pieces, about 1/8 of an inch. They will probably need to be trimmed more when we install them. But like the 2 for the wagon sides, I cut them 7 7/8 by 5 7/8. For the covering on the wagon bottom, I cut it 7 7/8 by 3 7/8. And then for the top inside, I cut it 7 7/8 by 3 7/8. And the piece for the end, I cut 4" by 5 7/8. So we're going to set those aside, and we will use them after we assemble the wagon. Set those aside. Now we need to assemble. This is our gate, so we're going to lay that aside. And that's the top. So this is the front end. Make sure these are the right width here. Looks just a little bit. Okay, 4/8. Yes, that's correct, because I have to have a little bit of a lip there. Okay, 4 1/8 by 6. So we're going to take a hinge piece, and we're going to measure these. And these will be laid out this way, the sides to the side, the bottom, and this section here. Okay. So we need a hinge piece that is 8 inches long, so I need 2 that are 8, and for now I need 1 that is 4. Go ahead and cut it 4 1/8. So we'll cut 3 hinges down. Okay, I cut these down. I have 2 8-inch, and I went ahead and used the end of this other and made this a 4-inch hinge. So we need to add 1/4 inch score tape, and go ahead and fold your hinges and burnish them so that you've got a good crease, a good fold. And let's apply the score tape right in the center on each side of the fold line, just on one side of the hinge. Okay, at the bottom of our wagon should be dry now, and we're going to need to punch holes for these wheels. Now the holes need to be at least inside, away from the hinge piece. So let's get us a pencil. So that's a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and make them three-quarters of an inch from each side. Put a mark there. 3/4 of an inch. So we put that, put an X. So where the lines intersect is where the hole's going to be punched. So 3/4. And 3/4 this way. Make sure. This one's not 3/4. Yeah, one of them didn't look right. Erase that so I don't make a mistake. This one is here. The line 3/4. So right there where the lines intersect is where we're going to punch our holes. Okay, so now let's get our crocodile. And we need to punch, let's check these screws. These screw out at the end of the lid. I have a screwdriver here somewhere. Okay. So unscrew this so we can see the size of the screw that goes in, and this is how it attaches into the chipboard. Okay, I think we can get by with the smaller one. So line up the X, center of the X, by looking through the hole in the crocodile. Can we see that? Let me get it lined up and then I'll put it down. And then just punch. Okay? Line it up right over the X. Punch. That one is kind of moved over just a little bit, but I don't think it'll make too terribly much difference. I mean, it's not like I'm an inch off or anything, it's just a hair. Okay, there, that one's better. And one more. Okay, so now we have our holes done for our wagon wheels. We're going to take one side and let's apply some glue to the center of this hinge on the fold line, just a line of glue. I think I need to refill my bottle some. And again, I should have peeled the backing off first. Get ahead of myself. On just one side here. Okay? And we're going to attach it to just one edge, one long edge of one side of the wagon. And put the chipboard into the fold line of this hinge. And lay that back. And then we're going to do it on this other side. Take an 8-inch hinge, peel the backing off of just one side. Let's apply some glue. And place one long edge into the fold line. Line it up with the hinge. The hinge is 8 inches, so is the chipboard. And then burnish it. Next, we're going to peel off this. We're going to attach this into the, line it up, butt it up against the other chipboard, into that fold, and bring up the hinge. And stick it down. You need to burnish it really good to make sure it sticks. And then let it go. And there is a gap there, and we're going to fill that with glue. To the other side here. So what we're doing is attaching the sides to the bottom of the wagon. And again, put it in, butt those chipboards together real tight. Bring that hinge, sticky side of that hinge up. And burnish it. And let it drop like that. Now we want to do a hinge, a short hinge on this side. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue in the center, though we will be adding more. So go ahead and add some glue. Sticky side. Fit that in. Peel the backing off. Take the wagon front piece, and because it's a little bit longer, just a hair, just center that. Get that on there. Bring that hinge piece up and attach it. Okay. So that's the shape of our wagon. So now we need some more hinges. We're going to need 2 6 inches long for the sides. Okay, so I'm going to take one 12-inch and I'm going to cut it in half for 2 6-inch hinges. Fold those. Burnish it with this bone folder. We'll apply the score tape. To the inside fold where it's folded. So let's apply this. Put it on both sides. And just on one, again, just on one side, but on both sides of the fold line. Turn this, peel this taping off on one side. Add a little bit of glue. Now I want you to add glue into the gaps onto the chipboard here. Don't be stingy with the glue. We want this to really hold it. Okay. I'm going to attach this to the end. Again, put the chipboard into the fold line. Let's go ahead and get this other side too. Okay, I'm going to stick this down the same way. Okay, now we have the glue. We're going to bring this up. I'm going to make sure I have plenty of glue here in this section here. Okay, peel this backing off. Pull these two up and fit them in together. The other side. And stick the hinge down. Okay, that is the shape of our wagon. Now we need to add the top piece. Well, before we add the top piece, let's go ahead and put hinges on the inside. So we need cut 2 more 8s and 2 more 6s. Okay, these are to support the inside of the wagon, so I've cut 2 8-inch and 2 6. Let's go ahead and score the fold lines. Add your score tape, 1/4 inch score tape to the outside of the hinge to each flap. That means when the hinge is folded, you put the score tape on the front and the back with it folded. And after we get this part done, then I'm going to stop for the evening and let this box dry. Okay, let's put some glue in the joints of this where the chipboards come together. I'm doing a 6-inch piece. Let me dry fit that first. Make sure that it does still fit. So you may take your scissors and just trim a tiny bit off the end. You don't want it sticking up above the chipboard. So trim it down to fit. Just a little bit more. Probably about 1/8 of an inch is probably what I'm taking off. Okay, peel the backings off. Put that in there. You have the glue in there. Put it into the corner and burnish it really good. And the other one, measure that to fit. There's the glue. Put that fold edge of the hinge into the corner of the box. Put it right into it and then stick it down. Okay, now the long ones. Let's measure them. They look like they'll fit okay. So add glue into the gap. And do it the same way, fold it and have the sticky side out and stick that fold line of the hinge right into the cut edge, the corners, the bottom corners of this chipboard in here. And the other side. Okay, and now we need one more hinge piece. I think I have a 4-inch one that was cut off earlier. A couple of them. That should work. Inside the very back, up the 4-inch, add the tape. Both sides. Add the glue into the seam line, chipboard seam line in here. See it in there? Peel the backing off. Fold the hinge in half, sticky side out, and fit it into that seam. Okay, now let's burnish all this. If there's any excess glue, then you can wipe that off on the inside and it will dry. Okay, it looks like that. And so we're going to